Hello again, and welcome back to the MimasAI podcast, where we explore how artificial intelligence is transforming the way businesses work. From the first contact to its final delivery, artificial intelligence is here to stay. So today we're diving into how AI is closing the gap between discovery and the delivery to clients, being faster, more accurate, and even more personalized outcomes for clients. Joining me today is Ali Babar, who's the CEO of Origami Studios. It's a company that's helping organizations leverage technology and AI, artificial intelligence, to bridge the gap between what clients want and what businesses deliver. So with that, Ali, welcome. Can you tell me and the audience a bit about yourself and the vision behind Origami Studios? Welcome.
Hi, Tim. Thank you so much for providing me the opportunity to come onto your show and discuss about myself, Origami, AI, and how it's helping in discovery. Let me start a little bit about myself. Actually, my journey into IT was not kind of traditional. I was from when I was young, I was always intrigued by mathematics and how numbers work. And I think my mom and my dad played a pivotal role by making me work on quizzes and other games, I think, which helped me and my brain transition into a role that was logic at one end and the eventual thing into computer science. So I think the early years played a big role in where I transitioned. I think the next big transition as something that was a spark for me to get into computer science when I was getting ready for school was the advent of wireless mobile. So the transition from P2P telephony to wireless mobile was just kind of my spark to get serious about information technology.
You know, I remember when a phone in your car was even unheard of, right? And then they had these big boxes you carried, and now, my goodness, everything is done with a smartphone these days. So again, we discussed in our preamble, artificial intelligence is not coming, it's here and it's here to stay. So with that, what inspired you to start Origami Studios, and how has the company evolved since you've founded it? So maybe you can start with when you founded the company.
Yes, actually the company started in 2013. And I think another family event was something that was pivotal, and it just happened as a meteorite that hit me. My father had Parkinson's, and I'm the only child of my parents, and then my mom had to take care of him and all that stuff, and it went for a few years. Then he passed away. At that time, I needed to be with my mom, and there was this transitionary period. I was working at UBS Investment Bank, so I had to leave that place for a little time, and I was spending time with my mom. And I think what happened was one of my childhood friends with whom I went to school for computer science, he started his own company a few years ago. And he was very instrumental in getting me to work with him and build a vision that I think that gave rise to Origami Studios in 2013. And I think the pillars of Origami Studios are based on value, based on moving with times, based on ensuring that we are on the highway of new technological innovation. And also it is based on, I would say, the honor code, the old honor code, that we are not going to deceive any client. All clients are our partners, and we will not stand behind them. We will stand shoulder to shoulder with them. And yes, there will be issues. There can be issues because it's a practical world. But we will not run away. We will be with you, and we will ensure that together we get rid of everything. And we will be not sitting across the table. We will be sitting right with you on the table. So I think those are some basic value systems that were transferred by our families. The regular, whatever anybody calls orthodox or whatever, I think that value system has helped a lot in Origami to grow from a small company of 5 to 7 people into a company of 150 plus people spread across different countries now.
Well, congratulations. So, sorry to hear about your father. My father died decades ago, and I remember the good times. I remember it to this day. And it is interesting how you said how you like to kind of make an impact. A tagline to my company, which is called MimasAI. Mimas is a small moon of the planet Saturn. and it has a very large impact crater on it. So eons ago, it was hit by an impact that nearly destroyed the planet. But my tagline is make an impact without destroying the planet. So we have a lot in common there. So thank you for sharing that. What's one major project that you saw AI maybe dramatically improve the speed or accuracy that helped you with the delivery? Is there something that comes to mind?
I'll start like a step before, like during the early years when we were starting out the company, and every company struggles in the early years of the business. So a major turning point was when I was working on a project in which there was this client or teams, and the process they were following, it was very rigid, and it was waterfall approach in which the items are like pretty much structured, you cannot change it, but the client in a way that he wanted to change things. And what happened was that there were these I would say gaps between the business vision and the technical execution. And I think that one thing taught me a critical importance of agility and client feedback loops. And I think a lifelong lesson that I learned is that technology is only half of the battle. The other half is the people, communication, understanding why behind what, and it just not is with our teams, us, and it is also with clients.
Yes. So I believe that wholeheartedly. I've always said there's three things important in project delivery, and that's communication, communication, communication. And I've always heard the kind of the cliche that says, boy, projects would run real smooth if you didn't have to have people doing them. So yes, leadership and the organization of the people as well as the technology. The technology is just the tool. But so I definitely agree with you. Please go ahead.
This is a very critical element that sorry, I interjected you. I think this is a very critical and important concept that you have talked about. Technology of any kind, the invention of the wheel to the AI till now, I think they're all tools. It is the people and the intelligence of the people, how they employ it, how they use it to get the best out of them.
No, I agree. And to expand on that a little bit, you're talking. Go ahead.
I think one of the biggest challenges that I consistently have seen is a disconnect in the very beginning of the discovery process. It's just like when a client is describing a car they want, the business leaders will say that fast and sleek, but the engineering teams hears four wheels and an engine, and the definition of fast and sleek gets lost. So there is this vision in the client's brain, what he wants, then there's a vision in the discovery teams, and then there's a vision of the engineering teams. And the art is all together is like ensuring that the engineering, this discovery team are connected together in the discovery process and working with the client and ensuring that he understands what he wants to build and what they will be provided.
Yes. I think we can immediately agree that setting expectations is a big key to that communication piece. And I often call what I do when I help with project management is even before we call it phase one, we do a phase zero, and we determine why we're doing this. It's not like how we're going to build the car, what kind of car. We decide even whether we need to build a car first. Maybe we need to build a bus. So I call it a phase zero. So once again, I think we're on the same page. So with that, how would you approach aligning technology, these solutions, with their clients' real and often sometimes unspoken requests? I mean, you've got to uncover those. What are some tricks that maybe you use?
You're absolutely right, and I think it has got to come with like the first lesson I told you, that it's the people stupid that are in the game and the communication with the people. So I think over the years what we have understand is that yes, client can have some expectations which may be overboard, but that's fine. He's a client, and we as Origami Studios, as a bespoke engineering house, it is our duty to ensure that we meet them not in the middle but closer to their vision, and let them know that if you want this, then this is the journey, these are the times required, this is the kind of team that is required, and these will be the budgets. One thing. And the second thing is that we also have like these two other plans, and what we are doing is we consider you as the president, and we are giving you multiple options. You being the leader of your vision, you can select whatever is according and fits into your vision. And I think this is something that helps us break that wall of you against us.
Yes. So along those lines, I agree. Where do you think, or where would you suggest or guess that companies lose valuable information between the client intake, that what they're asking for, and then that final delivery? And how could artificial intelligence potentially close that gap? In other words, I have always said, Ollie, that maybe, sometimes a client will say, hey, thank you very much. That's exactly what I asked for, but it's not what I need. So how do companies lose some of that information, or how do we close that gap between what the client's asking for and what we finally deliver?
You have raised such a, I think, critical and important point that I think every IT company, or not even IT company, I think engineering companies, every other company that has like a client and a service side team, they deal with it. And yes. I think a lot has to do with the burden of technical debt and legacy systems in the discovery process. And what I mean by technical debt and legacy systems is that the discovery teams, they produce so much of content, and that content can be in terms of internal meetings, client and internal technical team meetings, and then there's so much documents that are produced, and a lot of those documents are in the form of technical lingo, because it has to be technical lingo, and sometimes the client will have that technical lingo, sometimes the client will not have that technical detail orientation, sometimes the clients will be in one place, some of the clients will be spread in different cities, in different countries based on the structure. So there is a lot of information that gets lost before it gets to the decision makers, and whenever that critical information get lost, it can create like huge troubles in what was envisioned and what was delivered. And no matter what the service-oriented company says, they are wrong, because it is their duty, like how they do it. And I think where AI has come in and it can like close the gap, I think there's some like wonderful options of using different tools, different AI technologies, different methodologies. I think where it can reduce this friction, and it can ensure that there can be better discovery, faster discovery, and more quality-oriented discovery that can be done.
Yes, I agree. And to further on that note, I would ask if sales and marketing teams had access to this near real-time, or literally even real-time artificial intelligence insights from the intake, how would that potentially change how maybe you don't even deliver, but how you would close engagements with potential clients? So again, how if they had sales and marketing, whatever had, and even these intake teams had real-time insights, how might that really help? Welcome back.
Okay, so I can start from, I think that'll be like great help, and I'll take my personal example because I still am involved with a lot in the sales and in discovery at certain for critical projects, and I think when there's like this intelligent piece of information, that when I have it and I use these different AI tools, I myself, the work that I used to do in like a month's time, I can do it in like 3 days. And I think it's just like a blessing for people who are technical enough, who are creative enough, and who has that vision of like how to use it. It's just like awesome. As I say, it's not a replacement. It's augmentation.
Yes, an enhancement. I agree.
Yes.
So let's dig into
and
that.
You know, with human in the loop, these tools are just like a blessing that we always wanted. I think for the last 5-7 years, this is something that I always wanted.
Yes. And I'm learning more every day too, and I just continually become amazed at how the artificial intelligence is enhancing the human element of this. And let's never forget that the AI is there to make all these things more humane, not less. So let's expand on that. What's an example of where some of the artificial intelligence you maybe used has actually turned something messy and unstructured like that might happen during intake, and with the data into something that's actionable, that spread up everything or clarified it? So again, how would AI potentially take something that's messy and a little unstructured and turn it into something that's much more regimented?
Wonderful question. I think it's a brilliant question. I'll just like start with like an overview, and then I'll give an example with like a current project that we are doing, and it's going through a discovery phase. I think AI can now analyze thousands of pieces of customer feedback, support tickets, and reviews in just like minutes. And it can identify those key points, those things where there's like difference between the client and the discovery teams, the business analysts, and the engineering teams. And this is something that would take human teams like weeks or months. And during that process, a lot of information get lost. But now the speed in which those can be identified, talk with the client, talk with the different teams, I think this sorts out like really well. So for example, we are working on this huge social portal that is for the whole continent of Africa first, and then it's going to be for Europe and for like the whole of the world. It's kind of like a super app where there are like tons and tons of different features and modules that are coming up. So the whole discovery and everything was done, and the designs were also created. But then when we started working on, because like we took it from another company who worked on those designs, and one of our segues of getting that project was there were like so many small but critical informations that were missed by the previous team, and we were able to identify them, and we were able to talk to the client, and they understood that these are the things that will make or break what they want to build. So coming back to the second part is that we went there are like almost like 500 design screens that were created, and if manually, even if a team of like 5 people have to go through it, it would have taken like 2 to 3 months easily to go through and like how they will work. But with the use of like certain AI features, the right prompts, having the right people to work on that, I think we identified those key pain points that would have created like lots of trouble once those things were developed. And we brought it in front of the clients, and we are currently working them to redress it. And I think 5 months of time is reduced to 2 months. And I think it is going to save client a lot of money. It is going to save us a lot of headache, and we are going to have like a valuable client that is going to work with us for a long time.
Agreed. Communication, communication, communication. So, Ali, we talked a lot on the delivery side, but how do you think AI or artificial intelligence could help companies personalize proposals or slide decks so that they directly reflect what a client has stated, so they can restate it back to them perfectly and then determine what their real needs are?
I think I will start with basically the discovery calls, or even the calls before the discovery, say the interaction calls. Just like having these basic AI tools who are doing the note taking, I think that's a huge help. So there's a call of like say an hour or 2 hours, and I have the notes with me, or any sales agent have the notes with them, instead of they going back, listening to the recordings, taking down notes. I think the summaries can be taken out very fast. The real vision of the client can be taken out very fast. So between the discovery or initial interaction to the proposal that's been created, I think depending on the person who's working, is easily reduced between 25 to 40% of the time. It just, I think it's another boon is that it allows the technical people to create some wonderful sales proposals.
Right. So I agree. I use tools like that. One's called Fathom. That much of what I did as a project and program manager was distilling not only the notes from a meeting, but what tasks come out of it. And now, my goodness, with the help of some of these tools, it's done for my my final review to make sure it's complete and accurate. But boy, that is one of the biggest time savers I've noticed as well, Ali, for sure, in the note taking. So one last question.
Sorry, please go ahead.
No, I was going to ask my last question. I'd like you to elaborate, and then I'll move on to the last question.
I was saying that what I have seen is qualitatively the type of proposals and the output improves with the use. But I would also say like a caveat of using these tools. One has to be very careful how they're using it. And I always say this, there are like 3 variations that come when you're working with AI. Either you're asking the right question, you're asking the wrong question. The question that you are asking is right or wrong. If you're asking the right question, that means the answers that will be provided are either right or wrong. So you need to have the ability to distinguish between the right and wrong and ask and correct it. So that's fine. But if you're asking a wrong question, if you're asking a wrong prompt, the answer, whether it's right or wrong, doesn't matter. It's always going to be wrong, and it will be end in disaster. And the third part is like, if you're not sure what you're asking, then you should not be using it. You need to work on your skills of knowing like what you need to ask. So what comes out of it is that there has to be a gradual transition into the company's culture of using these tools, instead of just like pushing it down everybody's throat. Because at the end of the day, the output that will be produced, it may be faster, it may work right now, but say like over the medium term, it will start creating like so many issues and bugs, and nobody will be able to figure out, because it's machine generated information, that there's like no human in the loop.
Right.
So at least for a few years, say like 5-7 years, I think an AI strategist, companies need to have it. Human in the loop for every project, that needs to have it. The right kind of people who are training, that's a must thing. And I'll give an example of Origami Studios. Is like, we have been working with AI for 2 years now. We have like our own product called Adobe.ai. What it does is it creates these bespoke AI agents, assistants, or whatever you call. So instead of like a dime a dozen agents that are available like across the board wherever you go and you implement it, we do not work in that way. These are like highly bespoke agents that work for either sales, customer service, security service, reporting, analytics, accounting, and they are trained for your specific use cases. Their cost per month is one of the lowest in the market. They can work on-prem, they can work off-prem. It's the way that we have packaged and we are delivering. So, and that is on the product end. But how we started implementing these tools in our company is that first we had to create that vision and the culture in the company where is there acceptance of these tools. Because the big thing that is happening is that the resources are scared that our jobs will not be here in like 6 months, 10 months, 20 months. So we need to tell them that the humans will always be the critical factor. Where you need to evolve and develop is that you need to have your critical thinking abilities evolve, so that a person, the time that you spend on some task that should not be done, say for example, your productivity can increase. So for example, a developer doing basic testing, he can have these agents that can do the basic testing for them, and instead of it reduces the cycle from say like 3 cycles to 1 cycle, and that is how we evolved that culture. And then we picked out a couple of projects that were starting from scratch, from the discovery area. Then there were like some projects that were already halfway stage, and then there was this project that was already implemented, and took them as, I would say, premier projects as a POC, in which we started implementing these different tools, whether Claude, whether Lovable, and these other ones, depending on like where their need is. And slowly and gradually, people have started picking up. Most important thing is for companies and individuals is that you cannot push it down the throat. You have to have like a gradual thing, and build a culture where people can actually understand like why it's important. Sorry for this long rant.
No, that is an important. This is for you and for Origami Studios. So I appreciate your elaboration, and I will mention once again that we agree 100%, because you can't just prescribe all these things to folks. You have to get them to adopt them. And if you can put all the things in front of them that will save time, money, whatever, but if they're not adopted and used and asked for and embellished, then it doesn't help much. I really appreciate your view of that, because I share that vision. So the last thing I want to ask to kind of wrap this, and then we'll wrap up, is if you had to predict one way that artificial intelligence could or maybe will completely change the discovery process, maybe even in the next 3 years, but with the speed of AI, it might be the next 3 months. What would that be? Something that could potentially completely change the discovery process.
I think where it can like really change is that we have these trained agents that just like get into the discovery process, and there's like no human involved, and these agents just like work with the clients, work with their client can be sleeping, client can be sitting, they can be talking, and they're driving, they're talking, they're providing us that information. Our agents work with them, our agents talk with them, they do all the discovery process, and then the human in the loop comes in, he goes over those documents, He sees like
Yep.
whether it's right, whether it's wrong. And I think
Yeah.
that's where the discovery can take an amazing U-turn.
Agreed.
So we are able to use the time and critical thinking of business analysts in a better way instead of just like having these basic conversations that I think take a lot of energy out of them, and they at times are not focused on the critical factors that they can be focused on and produce a better quality and a better result and a faster delivery.
I agree wholly. It's don't worry about keeping the lights on. We'll let agents take care of that. Let's really get down to the critical thinking and get to the meat of what's being offered here to make some real lasting impacts. Like we started the conversation using that term. Let's make an impact. Well, Ali, this has been a great conversation. You've given a clear picture of how artificial intelligence is transforming the journey from intake to delivery, and why businesses that master this process, hey, don't be left in the gap. How companies and businesses that master this are going to win in the long run. So I think we agree on that. So before we wrap up, how can listeners connect with you or learn more about Origami Studios, your website or whatever? Why don't you go ahead and tell us how they can get in touch with you?
Yeah, it'll be great. Anybody who needs any advice, who needs to connect, get their products built, work with us. We are your partners. We value you. We give you the best advice that we can give. We give you teams, we give you scale, we give you staff augmentation, and you can reach us at www.origamistudios.us. Again, it's www.origamistudios.us, and you can reach me out on LinkedIn at Ali Babar and connect with me anytime.
Once again, Ali, thank you so much. And to the listeners, don't forget to subscribe and share and review these sites, and maybe take a look at this podcast with what Ali does with it. So until next time, keep innovating. And that's the MimasAI podcast. With that, we'll close. Thank you again, Ali.
Thanks, Tim. It was